Hello, everybody. Today we're going to read chapter 4, Among the Phaecians. At the end of chapter 3, the end of the chapter 3 video, I clarify that Odysseus is now sort of on this new island. He's among the Phaecians, but they are friends, right? And they are going to ultimately help him get home. He is a guest of King Alcinous. He's a guest in the palace. He was kind of rescued by the daughter, Princess Nausicaa, who was given bravery and courage from Athena, and she's brought him to her father and said, hey, there's this stranger who needs some help. And following the code of Xenia, King Alcinous has taken him in, has fed him, has bathed him, and now we're going to see Odysseus kind of mingling among the Phaeacians. What's really important to understand, though, is that he's still in disguise. Like, he's not in disguise, but they don't know who he is. He's not known to them, but it's going to start to be revealed toward the end of the chapter that this is an important person, and they're going to want to figure out who he is. Just to reference on your timeline, okay? So we are on the island of the Phaeacians. Odysseus is just about home, right? This is the last stop for him before he reaches Ithaca. So here we are, right, with chapter 1, and this is where the book opens. Right now, we're kind of right around here, okay? Hermes came and told him that he could leave Calypso's isle, and now he is landing on the Isle of the Phaeacians, right? So in this little bracketed section, this is where he's going to start to tell the story. Not in this chapter, but on this island is where he's going to tell the story of where he was during all of this time. And this is really where chapter 5 picks up, is over here. So chapter 4, we're still here. We're very close to him being home. These are the people that are going to help him get there. And we're going to learn his story, the story of those missing, those lost 10 years. We're going to learn that while he is on this island with the Phaeacians, okay? Without further ado, here's chapter 4, Among the Phaeacians. In front of the palace of the Phaeacian king is an orchard, 4 acres in size. Every kind of fruit grows there, pears and apples, figs and olives. The trees never die. They bear fruit in every season. Next, there is a field of grapes. Beyond it lies a great green vegetable garden. 2 springs bubble up from the garden. One spring waters the gardens, the other rushes under the palace gates for the city people to drink. Such were the gifts the gods rained down on King Alcinous's land. Odysseus gazed in wonder at all this plenty. Then he went past the gates and into the palace. Athena had placed a mist around him. It made him invisible until he was before the king and queen. Princess Nausicaa had told him all about her father and mother. Now Odysseus threw himself at the knees of the queen. The mist rolled back to reveal him. The men and women feasting in the hall fell silent. Queen Arete, I beg for mercy, he cried. May the gods bring riches on this house. As for myself, I ask for help getting home to my own country. I've been away from my loved ones for a long time. I have suffered greatly. True story. An old lord broke the silence. Alcinous, your people are waiting, he said. Come, raise this stranger up. Tell your servants to give us wine. We shall pour out cups to Zeus, who protects those who ask for favors. Give our guest his supper. Xenia. It was done. The king gave Odysseus his own son's chair. He called for food and wine. After everyone had feasted, Alcinous spoke. Hear me, lords of Phaeacia, he said. We shall meet at dawn and make offerings to the gods. Then we shall see about getting our new friend safely home. Everyone cheered. They wished Odysseus well and went on their way. But Odysseus remained in the hall with royal Alcinous and Arete. The queen had noticed his clothes. She had made them herself for her own son. Stranger, who are you? Where did you get those clothes? Didn't you say you came here by sea? It would be hard work to tell you the whole story, my queen, said Odysseus. This much I will say for now. There is an island with a nymph. Calypso has her home. Odysseus told how he had longed to escape from the island and what had happened when he did. When I woke up, he said, there stood your daughter, like a goddess. She gave me these clothes. So she gave you care and shelter, said the king. Friend, I wish you could stay with us and be her husband. Zeus would curse me, though, if I tried to keep you here against your will. Our men are the finest sailors. They will bring you home even if it lies at the end of the earth. May Zeus make it happen, said Odysseus. At dawn, Alcinous led the way to the meeting grounds by the harbor. He and Odysseus sat side by side on a polished stone bench. Athena roamed through the town in the form of a messenger. Come, lords of Phaeacia, she cried. Come to the meeting grounds. Come meet the stranger who came here over the sea. Soon the seats were filled. The people gazed in wonder at the warrior who sat before them. Alcinous addressed his people. He told them how the stranger had come and what he wished. Then he ordered his sailors to prepare a fine new ship. I want a crew of 52 of the best, said the king. Have them fit out a ship with everything it needs. Then let all come to a banquet at my palace. Let us give this stranger a hero's welcome. We'll have the great bard, Demodocus, inspire us with song. That's the poet, right? The bard is the poet who's going to come and tell stories and entertain everyone at the palace. The bard was blind. He sat in a silver chair in the palace. After all had feasted, he sang a song of fighting heroes. Odysseus wept to hear his own deeds sung. Only Alcinous noticed his guests' tears. Hear me, he announced. Enough of food and music for now. Let us go out again and test ourselves in contests. Let the stranger tell his friends at home what athletes the Phaeacians are. The people went out to see the games. The first event was a running race. It was won by one of the king's sons. Next came wrestling. A man named Broadsea beat all the rest. Then there was jumping, discus throwing, and boxing. Come, friends, said Laodamas, another of Alcinous' sons. Let's ask our guest what sports he likes. Look at him. He's an athlete, all right. Good idea, said Broadsea. Go ahead, Laodamas. Challenge him yourself. The prince stood before Odysseus. Come, stranger, won't you try your skill at sports before you sail? He asked. Odysseus spoke sharply. Laodamas, why do you challenge me? Troubles weigh on me now, not games. I only want to get home. I knew it, Broadsea broke in. He grinned in Odysseus' face. I knew you were no good at sports. You're a traitor. You're only interested in gold. I can see that you're no athlete. I can see that you're a fool, Odysseus shot back. The gods don't hand out all their gifts at once. Look at you. Not even a god could improve upon your looks. Inside your head, however, there is nothing. Your big mouth makes me angry. Look at me, worn down by troubles and pain. I've fought my way through the wars of men and the waves of gods. Even so, I'll give your sports a try. Up he jumped. He grabbed the largest discus. He spun around and let it fly. The sailors waiting by the ship ducked their heads as it flew by. Athena, looking like a man, stood at the spot where it landed. Look at that, she cried. It's so far past the others. There's no one who can touch you in this event. Odysseus laughed, suddenly lighter in heart. Match that, boys, and I'll throw another one even farther. Any of you, come on, try me at boxing, wrestling, spear throwing, anything. I'll take on anyone. Except Laodamas. He's my host. Who'd be such a fool as to fight his friend? Everyone stood silent. Only Alcinous answered him. Of course you want to show your gifts, my friend, he said. You were insulted by a young fellow with no sense of fit speech. We are not great fighters, but Zeus has given us other gifts. We can race like the wind on land or sea. More important to us are feasting, music, and dance. We'll give you something to talk about when you feast in your own hall. Someone get Demodocus' lyre. L-Y-R-E, right? The musical instrument. Soon, a stage was filled with dancers. Odysseus gazed with wonder at their flashing feet. At their center sat the blind bard. He sang a funny song of love and jealousy among the gods. Next, the island's two finest dancers put on a show that left Odysseus amazed. His praises brought cheer to the king and his people. Alcinous called for the lords of the island to give the stranger gifts. First among them was Broadsea, who gave him a fine sword. The gifts were spread at Odysseus' feet for him to see. Then the royal guest was bathed and richly dressed. On his return to the great hall, Odysseus saw Nausicaa sitting there. "Goodbye, my friend," she said. "Remember me when you are at home in your own land." "Nausicaa, daughter of Alcinous, may Zeus make it so," Odysseus said gently. "Even at home, I'll pray to you as a goddess. You saved my life." Odysseus took his seat beside the king. Wine was poured. Odysseus presented a choice cut of meat to the bard Demodocus. I mispronounce that sometimes, guys. See, it's okay. Just keep going. "Surely Apollo gave you your gift," Odysseus said to him. "You sing about the Greeks at Troy, as if you had been there. Sing now of the wooden horse. Sing of the trap that Odysseus brought to Troy, the horse filled with fighting men who destroyed the city." The bard sang of how the Greeks had burned their own camp and appeared to sail away. He sang of the wooden horse that they had left behind, and how the Trojans dragged it into the city as a prize of war. He sang of Odysseus's men, hiding in the horse's belly. He sang of Odysseus, fighting side by side with Menelaus as they took the city. Odysseus listened to the song with tears running down from his eyes. "Oh, hear me, lords of Phaeacia," Alcinous said. "Let Demodocus rest his lyre now. I can see our guest is not pleased with this song. He has cried ever since it began." "Now come, my friend," Alcinous said to Odysseus. "It's time we heard your story. Tell us who you are and where you come from. Where have your travels taken you? What people have you met? Tell us why you cry when you hear about the Greeks at Troy. Did you lose a son or a brother there? Tell us now." Now I ask you, why is Odysseus crying? Right? When he asked for this song, he asked Demodocus to sing the song of Odysseus, the great warrior who built the Trojan horse, right? Of the men who went inside, right? So this all goes back to our background on the Trojan War, and this is Odysseus's greatest contribution to the war, according to the myth. So why is he crying? And why do those tears trigger Alcinous's response? So a couple of things to think about that we'll talk about when we meet. But this is the moment where Odysseus is finally going to reveal who he is and get ready to tell the story of his wanderings, his 10 years lost at sea. And chapter 5 is one of my favorite chapters ever. So I look forward to seeing you next time.